Lena Farrow's consciousness emerged slowly, like a ship rising through deep water. Her eyelids felt weighted, her muscles heavy with the kind of exhaustion that came from 3 consecutive all-nighters managing the colony's failing atmospheric processors. The soft hum of the HAB unit should have been the only sound, but instead, there was shuffling. Quiet, careful shuffling. She cracked one eye open. What she saw made no sense at all. Tippy, the young Quilsan cub barely reaching her knee in height, was balancing precariously on a stack of 2 pillows while attempting to hoist a third. The cub's 6-fingered hands trembled with effort. Her large violet eyes narrowed in fierce concentration. Behind her, 3 more Quilsan cubs worked in surprising coordination, passing cushions and blankets in a chain formation that would have impressed any military logistics officer. "What?" Lena's voice came out as a croak. Every cub froze. Tippy wobbled dangerously on her pillow tower, arms windmilling before she tumbled backward into a fortunately placed heap of bedding. 5 pairs of luminous eyes turned toward Lina with expressions of such guilt and determination mixed together that it would have been comical if Lina weren't so confused. "Sleep, mother must rest," Tippy announced, scrambling upright with the resilience only children possessed. "We make fortress. Noise stays out. You stay sleeping." Lena pushed herself up on her elbows, taking in the full scope of the construction project. The cubs had somehow gathered every pillow, cushion, and spare blanket from the communal areas. They'd created a surprisingly sophisticated barrier around her sleeping alcove, with overlapping layers that would actually provide decent sound dampening. The engineering wasn't perfect, but the intent was crystal clear. "How long have you been doing this?" Lena asked. "Since second sunup," a smaller cub named Cree piped up proudly. "Tippy said humans break if they don't sleep enough. Said you were breaking." Lena's throat tightened. She'd been so focused on keeping the colony running, on solving the cascade of technical failures that threatened their survival, that she hadn't realized the cubs were watching, hadn't realized they understood. The Quilksans were refugees, survivors of a world consumed by their own sun's unexpected expansion. Humanity had been the only species to answer their distress call, the only ones to extend a hand when the Galactic Council deemed their rescue economically inefficient. 43,000 Quilksans now lived in hastily constructed colonies across Earth's moon and Mars, learning to exist in a universe that had abandoned them. These cubs had watched their parents die, had crossed impossible distances in failing ships, had every reason to be traumatized, broken, unable to trust. Instead, they were building blanket fortresses so their exhausted human caretaker could sleep. "The atmospheric processor," Lena said weakly. "I need to..." "Fixed," Tippy interrupted, puffing out her small chest. "Elder Moxven called engineer. Engineer came, said you needed rest, or you'd crash harder than a drop pod with no retros. We helped keep you sleeping." Lena stared. She'd been working herself to death trying to keep everyone safe, trying to prove that humanity's choice to rescue the Quilksans wasn't a mistake, that they could integrate them, protect them, give them a future. She'd been carrying the weight alone because that's what humans did, wasn't it? They shouldered burdens. They solved impossible problems through sheer, stubborn refusal to quit. But maybe that wasn't the only human trait worth celebrating. "Why?" Lena whispered. "Why go through all this trouble?" Tippy's expression shifted, becoming suddenly older than her 3 cycles of life. "You gave us tomorrow," the cub said simply. "When everyone else in stars said we were too expensive, too difficult, too not worth it, humans said, doesn't matter. Humans came anyway." The other cubs nodded solemnly. "You carried us when we couldn't carry ourselves," Cree added. "So we carry you now, is only fair." Lena felt tears pressing hot against her eyes. The Galactic Council had called humanity's rescue operation emotionally driven and strategically unsound. They'd predicted economic collapse, social upheaval, the breakdown of Earth's carefully balanced systems. They'd written papers about humanity's fatal flaw of empathy, their inability to make rational choices in the face of suffering. What the Council failed to understand was that this wasn't a flaw, it was humanity's greatest strength. Humans didn't save the Quilksans because it made economic sense. They saved them because children were dying, And humans couldn't look away from that, couldn't calculate the cost-benefit analysis of a child's life and find it wanting. Every human who'd volunteered for the rescue missions, who'd donated supplies, who'd opened their homes and colonies, did so knowing it would cost them something. They did it anyway, and now, in a perfect mirror of that same instinct, these cubs had spent hours constructing a fortress of pillows so their sleep mother could rest. Not because they'd been ordered to, not because they expected reward, but because they'd learned, in the short time living among humans, that when someone you care about is struggling, you help. Even if the help is imperfect. Even if it's just pillows. Thank you, Lena managed, her voice thick. This is the most wonderful fortress I've ever seen. Tippy beamed, her bioluminescent freckles glowing with pleasure. We used human engineering principles, made redundant support structures. 3-point stability. Cree wanted to use adhesive paste, but I said no. Sleep mother's things shouldn't be stuck together. Very wise, Lena agreed, reaching out to ruffle the fur between Tippy's large ears. The cub leaned into the touch, making a sound like purring mixed with wind chimes. The other cubs crowded closer, clearly proud of their work and relieved that Lena wasn't angry. They chattered about their construction process, their problem-solving, the way they'd organized teams and delegated tasks. It was, Lena realized, exactly what they'd watched humans do during the rescue operations. They were learning not just to survive, but to thrive, to care for each other, to build communities where everyone mattered. All right, architects, Lena said, sitting up fully despite her body's protests. Since you've clearly mastered fortress construction, how about we tackle breakfast? I'm thinking we make enough for the whole youth wing. The cubs erupted in enthusiastic cheers, already racing toward the communal kitchen, their earlier solemnity replaced with typical youthful energy. Tippy lingered behind for a moment, her small hand finding Lena's. Sleep, mother? You will rest more, yes? We need you not broken. Lena squeezed the small hand gently. I promise. And Tippy? You don't need to call me sleep, mother. Lena is fine, but you are our mother now, Tippy said matter-of-factly. You and all humans. You chose us when we had nothing. Made us yours. That is what mothers do. With that profound statement, the cubs scampered off to join her friends, leaving Lena sitting among the pillow fortress, crying openly now, understanding finally what the rescue had truly meant. Humanity hadn't just saved the Quilksons, they'd gained a family. And families, Lena thought as she stood to join the cubs in the kitchen, took care of each other. Even if that care came in the form of architectural pillow projects at dawn, especially then.